Hello again, this is Luke Bergdorf. I'm here with retired Chief Jeff Holloway. Chief Holloway, if you just want to kind of introduce yourself a little bit and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Hey, I'm Jeff. Grew up in Arlington. Started at Pantego, right out of Nichols Rookie School at TCJC South Campus. And started as a volunteer in Pantego. Got hired on September the 11th, 1978. And crazy enough, in small town USA, I promoted to lieutenant within a year. So there's some craziness. And in April 30th of 1980, I did, as many would say, I walked across the street and hired on in Arlington and went to 6B on April 30th, 1980.
So you grew up in Arlington. Whereabouts in Arlington did you grow up?
Fielder and Colorado.
Fielder?
Yeah, a block east on Kingston Street. Yeah, moved there in 1968. Third grade, went to South Davis Elementary, third grade, and then went to Short Elementary when it was new, Gunn Junior High when it was new, and then the original Bowie when it was new.
So you're a hometown boy.
Hometown guy, yeah.
That connection in Arlington, did that really drive you to be an Arlington firefighter?
I think so. I think so. I was crazy enough and young and dumb enough that I was offered a job in Louisville, and the fire chief called me on Friday, Louisville fire chief, and called and said, I want to offer you a job, and I hemmed and hawed and asked him if I could tell him on Monday because I was anticipating the Pantego job. And he was, well, okay. And so, yeah, Monday morning, I was offered the job at Pantego, so I had to call Chief George Teague at Louisville and say respectfully decline.
Yes, sir.
Because I mean, this is home to me, and this is where I wanted to serve. So
Absolutely. So you got hired on in Arlington in 1980. What was your ID number when you hired
in
on?
Arlington, 147.
147.
Neil Strasser right in front of me, and then Shan English right after me. Yeah, there was a series of just single person hires. Let's see, David Pivito, Neil Strasser, then me, then Shan, and then I think another year later it was the class of 81. Brian Riley, Bob McMahon, Don Hartz, that group.
So you weren't necessarily a part of a BTS class when you hired on?
No, it was just, I
You
was
had
just
your-
the only one.
You had your prior
Yeah.
certs from, you said the Nichols?
Yeah, Jim Nichols, rookie school. Yeah.
I've heard his name quite a few times. What was
Yep.
it like going through his rookie school at TCC?
Probably something we can't publish here. It was, I was too young to really know anything about the fire service, and everybody was at least 10 years older than me in rookie school, so I just kept my mouth shut, worked hard, and tried to learn from the professor and from my classmates.
So you heard about the Arlington was hiring, and
Well, so how it happened, David Evans was an engineer in Arlington. Well, he was my captain at Pantego.
okay,
And so the city, that was back when there was a mayor-controlled city government in Pantego. And the mayor and the fire chief got into a screaming match over an issue. And I was outside sitting on the tailboard with Barney Lowe, who was the engineer. And Captain Evans came out and said, well, Bob just got fired and I'm going to Arlington, and you wait about 6 months and you come on over. Okay. So I followed David Evans here.
who was the fire chief when you hired on?
In Arlington, it was
yes,
Pat
sir.
Martin,
Martin.
the pioneer, the
Chief
one
Martin.
right after Mike Thompson.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And was the hiring? Did you get interviewed with him or?
No, it was a panel. It was I can't even remember the old time chiefs' names, but Wiley Taylor. They called him Gator. I don't know why, but I never worked for him. He was just on the interview panel.
Yes, sir.
I think Captain or Lieutenant Gooden, Charles Gooden, was on the panel. Galen Moore, battalion chief, one of the great ones, was on the panel. So the only thing I remember is kind of the way I started and the way I ended. They asked, why do you want to be here? And I just said, I just want to help people. And that's kind of how I ended up, is I just want to help people.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
It's just that simple.
So was there any training that you had to do prior when you got hired on, or you were just the one-man band that just showed up to a fire station after you got hired?
I had my certification.
Yes, sir.
From Nichols. And then, in fact, I showed up, Chief McFadden showed me to the supply closet, and I was issued my bunker gear. They gave us a pillow and some sheets, and it said, head off to Station 6. Okay, and there it was. Captain Honeycutt, Lieutenant Rodney Sullivan, engineers John McQuarrie and Bill Villars, firefighters Paul Zurich and David Culhane. That was quite a crew.
So you showed up at 6B, firefighter, fresh off the block.
Yep.
What was kind of that probationary period like?
Again, I was smart enough to, just barely smart enough to keep my mouth shut. Because, I mean, even though, been 2 years on the job and been through all the Nichols warping, I guess, if you would, impressions, just keep your mouth shut, head down, work hard, and just try to see where you fit in, sort of thing. Of course, Villars and McQuarrie kept it lighthearted, and they thankfully we had David Culhane, who still had a little bit of Yankee in him, so they kind of pounced on him quite a bit. Before I got there, I heard the big story, and so we ran a tank truck first out a lot, and so it was David, and I don't know who else was on the tank truck with him, but they'd made a call in Webb, way before the city of Arlington reached Webb, but he went way out to Webb, and I don't know, grass fire late at night, whatever, came back, and so they set it up where the captain called him in and said, we've got a call, a citizen complaint, it's pretty serious. You've killed a farmer's prize chicken, and it's going to be significant. And so David was broken. I mean, he was worried he's going to lose his job over all that sort of stuff. So they let him go on for a while, and then finally told him. And of course, David laughed about that, but I was like, oh crap, what are they going to do to me?
Killed the farmer's prize chicken.
Yeah. So anyway, I just learned to keep my mouth shut and just keep going, just try to fit in, sort of thing. So, but it was good times. In between, it was the joke that Villars and McQuarrie, every other shift, one of them would have a vehicle accident. So that kind of kept a little heat off of me. So, but John was real skittish. He'd just come from Vietnam just a few years prior, so he's pretty skittish. Well, the battalion was out there, and the battalion's driver was James Patterson, who's a long time tied into all the Pattersons of Arlington. Anyway, long time guy here, but so James was quite a prankster and knew how skittish John was, and James had a full head Wolfman mask. And there used to be rock walls in front of Station 6, and we'd sit out there in the evenings, and James would put that mask on and sneak around behind the wall and jump up and scare John. Or we'd go to bed, it's back there in open dormitories, and James put the mask on and then circle back around and shake the bushes by the window by John's bed, and then John would look out and there'd be the Wolfman. Or James would get in John's locker, and scare the hell out of him. So,
Good times.
Oh,
sounds
my
like
gosh.
Sounds like a fire station.
Oh, yeah.
So you said you were, in the tank truck. What other kind of apparatus were there at Station 6 whenever you first hit the line?
There was, I don't know, Gibson and Cutterback are the equipment guys. They know all that sort of history. But it was like a 70 or 72 open cab, short wheelbase, American LaFrance. And, no cab at all, just a windshield with wipers on both inside and outside, and the engine cowling had the A-frame ladder, and I think we had seat belts on the ladder, not on us, but on the ladder, and then the air packs were just put inside the A-frame. And so typically we'd either sit on the cowling or sit on the edge of that or on the top of the pre-connects and cruise around town. So
sounds like a good old time.
I guess we didn't know any better. So
so by 1980, Station 6 had already been open, a few years.
10 years.
And so that district had already kind of started developing. Now it's kind of known as the hot house. It's a pretty busy station. What was kind of the district like whenever you first hired on? Was it as busy as it is now? Or?
Back then we didn't run medical calls, so it was just fires. And then, there was nothing between Station 6 and Mansfield. So that was the last station. It was Station 6 and 7. I mean, both north of 20, no fire stations south. So whatever went on out there, and mainly 1980 was the heat wave. So it was grass fire after grass fire after grass fire. So it would be either me and Paul or me and David on the tank truck. We'd be out all afternoon on grass fires. And Captain Honeycutt calling the radio. You boys all right out there? Yeah, we're okay. But I mean, you might see the guys from 7s, right? So these 2 tank trucks with all the young people on them out in the middle of, these fields of mesquite and Johnson grass burning, and be out there for hours. Just 4 of us, just tooling around. So, good times.
Good times. How long were you a firefighter for at Station 6?
I was there for about a year, I think. I remember Chief Martin calling Captain Honeycutt. It was later that fall, I think. Anyway, he said, tell the boys to load up in the tank truck and come out here to New Station 9. And none of us knew where it was. But Chief Martin was out there. They were putting the Haydite block walls up, and there was not a city water line run to the station. So they had a huge horse trough out there, and so we took the water from the tank truck and put it in the horse trough so they'd have water to mix the mortar to set the Haydite block. So that was, there was nothing. It was New Station 9 and Bud's Barbecue, and then just farmhouses really from 20 on south.
And that was on Cooper Street.
That was on Cooper Street, yeah. 4929 South Cooper.
Nowadays there's more concrete than there is grass out there.
There is. It's all filled in. So.
And so when did you promote to driver?
84.
84, so you spent 4 years.
Yeah.
Firefighter.
Yeah.
Was that
it.
Mostly you were at Sixes?
Well, because at that time Station 9 was opened in January of 81. Captain Honeycutt had me under his wing. We took the snorkel from 6 to 9, and loved that old thing. So the snorkel, not Captain Honeycutt. No, I love Captain Honeycutt. But anyway, Bill said, "Come on, you go with me." So I said, okay. I went with Captain Honeycutt and the snorkel out to 9s and opened it up. And it was weird staffing because Ronnie Mack was the lieutenant, and then Villars and McQuarrie and me. And it was a while before either we got an engine or anyway, it was just weird. So that we opened Station 9. I stayed there about a year, and then the snorkel got moved, and Honeycutt got moved to 7s. So I went there with him and worked there for maybe a year. And then I found my way back home to 6. And then driver for a few years there, promoted to lieutenant. Went to the alarm office, went to Station 1, and then I came back to 6 as a captain in the late 90s.
So you were a driver
A
at
firefighter,
Sixes?
yeah, firefighter, a driver, out of class lieutenant, and then came back as a captain.
You said you went to the alarm office, get some dispatch. What was that like? What was that kind of detail about?
Well, I volunteered because I told that if I didn't volunteer, I was going to be placed on a shift. So I'd get to pick if I volunteered. So that's my way of volunteering at, went to went to the alarm offices. It was at Station 7, at Little Road there, where
Yes, sir.
the old police side of it was dispatch, police and fire dispatch and call take. So we had lieutenants in the alarm office, a couple of civilian dispatchers. They'd moved from Station 1 out to Little Road.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the police side, there were corporals and sergeants, and then civilian dispatchers. So we were lieutenants, supervisors, but we were trained as call takers and as CAD operators.
Mm-hmm.
So
Did you enjoy your time there? Or?
I finally learned to like it. Well, it was hard. The first fire comes in, it's like, I don't need or want to be here. So, but after a while, you realize there's a whole lot of things that you can do behind the scenes, especially, coming from the field.
Mm-hmm.
You can, make some calls to utility companies, move ups, help, just be helpful from up there. So I learned my role in there and learned about computers. And of course, I worked with one of the greatest lieutenants ever, who was on day shift, and that was David McMullen, and began a long friendship with him. And he and I reconnected when Chief Bronner started officer development. So David is, if you've never met him or been around him, just all you have to do is, hey, David, would you look into this? And then, a week or two later, it'd be 400 or 500 pages worth of information. He was just that kind of guy, just into the fire service, and could produce training curriculums, operational manuals. He was outstanding person and fire officer.
Yes, sir.
So.
And then you returned home to 6.
After the alarm office, let's see, I was paroled and sent to Station 8, where I worked with a great crew. It was worked with Bubba Sells and Steve Votaw and Chad Chadwick. Porter Pierce was the captain. We had Flayhot, Potasic. I was trying to think who else was that as the firefighters. But up there, it was very much Bubba always drove the truck and Steve drove the engine. So it was most typically me and Steve and Chad on the engine. And Steve was he came from Lancaster, but he was an old traditional, that you would think of a traditional engineer. It's like, and he was older. I can't remember how much older. I mean, he could run you into the ground, so you never really knew his real age, but he was just one of those old traditional guys that you would need to hustle to beat him to the engine, and you better get in and get the door shut, because he knew every apartment complex, every building, every cross street. We were off and going. So that was one of the hardest conversations I ever had, because I'd spent a couple of years there and
Yes, sir.
loved those guys, but I felt the pull to go to Station 1, because Neil Strasser was the captain there and had a great crew. And it was at the time when we had excessive captains. There was a time we had captains at single companies. So on one shift, the captain was kind of the station coordinator, did the budget and things. So it was at a time where that was being phased out. So it was Captain Strasser and another captain there, and they were easing him out and recruiting me. But that was probably the hardest conversation I had to have, was with Steve, Bubba, and Chad. In fact, I said, need to see y'all. Before I said anything to anybody, I pulled them in the office and said, I hate to do this, but I got to go. And, after they got through with being pissed at me, they understood. They knew why. Of course, Chad, he laughed so hard, because when I first came up there, one of the big deals was, why is 8s always on the ticket with 4s, automatic alarms to AMH, which we used to make thousands of them. So, all right. So, we wrote a letter to Chief Murphy, and Chief Murphy said, you're right. Geographically, it makes sense. There's something in the past about taking some calls off of Station 1, so Chief Murphy approved it. And then when I transferred to Station 1, Chad had to rub it in. Oh, by the way, enjoy AMH.
That's funny.
Of course, but that's Chad, he's
Yes, sir.
gonna razz you, whatever. But yeah, so
So you returned to ones.
yeah,
as
and
a
that
lieutenant.
became my new home
Yes,
because
sir.
on and off again from August of '91. A couple of detours on some more staff jobs, but that became my next home. Was at Station 1, and that's where I retired from.
Yes, sir.
So
What year did you promote to captain?
it was 98.
98.
Yeah.
And then you were a captain at Station 1,
No, I was a captain at sixes.
sixes.
Yeah, I went from
That's right. Yes,
lieutenant at ones to captain at sixes, and was there only a short period of time, probably a year. And then, it was one of those opportunity sort of things. I thought I better try, and so I put in for BC and got promoted from that.
So you promoted to BC after a year being
a captain at
So you were a BC by 99.
January '99 is when I promoted. Yeah, Chief Paulsgrove called me at home. You probably don't see this coming. I thought, well, it's okay. I'm captain at sixes. Everything's going to be okay. He said, you're going to be the chief of Med Ops. You're right. I didn't see that one coming. So yeah, I left sixes and was Med Ops chief in '99. We started the EMS analysis and retooling the system because rural Metro was having some difficulties.
Yes, sir.
So
And then after you got done at that, did you go to Battalion 1?
yeah, Battalion 1. I asked to go to C shift. No, I asked to go to B shift because that was home. That's why I grew up on B shift. But I got put on C shift, and that was some of the greatest 10 years of my career. Was 91 to 2011. Yeah, 2011. I was on C shift at station as Battalion 1.
Yes, sir.
And then, because it was the bad memories of special events, the fall of 2011. It was, post Super Bowl sort of mission, clean up a few items. So okay, all right.
You took on that job?
Yes, I did take on that job, but it was another thing, like the alarm office, like Med Ops. It's like, I don't feel like this will fit. Love operations, but I learned things in all those staff assignments that helped me go back as a field battalion chief.
Mm-hmm.
And the greatest thing about special events was being in an office next to Irish Hancock and learning about emergency management. And I told him many times, late in my career, it's like, Irish, how come I've never really known you or what emergency management does? And it was just a tremendous learning for me in special events, but mainly the leadership bonds that I had with Irish and learning about emergency management, preparedness, and conducting exercises. It was just, it was a beating to have to, the impossible hours that's expected. You're right, because you're on call 24/7 for those venues. And but I did learn quite a bit. And like I said, it's done a lot for me carrying forward back to and so after special events went back to B shift at Battalion 1, and that's where I finished.
Super.
Yeah.
Looking back on kind of all your time on the line and everything, what were some kind of the notable fires that you remember most that kind of shaped the way you did things in your time?
Oh gosh, I don't know. There's a lot. Before you got here, I was reading that newspaper article about Days In, and then all of the fallout from the Indian Creek fatality, and it made quite an impression on me. Some of it is because my mentor was the incident commander at both of those, and it was, so it was not just tactical lessons; it was leadership lessons and lessons between operations and others that we need to be held accountable to the citizens. That was a huge deal, but how we as an organization worked through that was not real pretty. It was, in fact, it was damn right ugly, and I know it was extremely hard on Chief Bronner, and but his leadership, perseverance, and his values got him through it. He survived. But I mean, it reinforced the need for command teamwork. I mean, we talk about teamwork at the expert labor level, right? The brotherhood that we have and the camaraderie at the stations and the equipment and the apparatus, there's a strong bond, but then the need for command teamwork, and that we're all part of it. It tends to be, that's one of the things, I guess, if you read between the lines of all the newspaper reports, and there are several in that, is that tend to put the laser onto Chief Bronner, and rightfully so. You're the incident commander, you own it all, but it really reinforced that we have to have command teamwork at every level, and everyone in the organization needs to know where they fit in and how they can contribute to that.
Yes, sir.
So I think those two incidents really shape the years after that.
Yes, sir.
That was in '94.
Kind of talking about some other kind of tactics that maybe you kind of saw whenever you got hired on, and kind of how you morphed the way you did things as a chief, or some other besides just kind of the way incidents ran. Are there any other strategies or tactics that maybe you learned throughout your years?
Well, when I started, and certainly Nichols Rookie School, and you got volumes and volumes of printed material, and then a significant amount of, and it wasn't, there was only one burn facility that we used, and that was at Forest Hill, but we spent a week in Clarksville and burned vacant houses during the day, and then amazingly enough, there were arson fires at night that we fought too. So, those were in the days before SOPs, and it was all on the focus on, and crappy gear, terrible gear, and the professor would be in his coveralls with a helmet, smoking a pipe, standing up, yelling at you while you were crawling because of the heat and the smoke, crawling in with the line. So, that emphasis, that foundation left me with the respect for the hardworking men and women that do advance the nozzle, that you can never lose your foundation, your appreciation for that, your respect for that. And so that's the foundation for it. And then everything else, promoting in leadership positions, is all about supporting that person that's making a difference. And so, that's what imprinted on me.
Yes, sir. And then you talked about kind of some of your mentors that really, gave you some good knowledge and everything. Kind of what did you learn from them that way you didn't have to make those same mistakes as the generations maybe?
Oh, I probably made them and more. I was kind of thick-headed. Still I am, very thick-headed. But, obviously it started Professor Nichols and, hard charging. So I guess Captain Don Gibson was kind of the living legend of that. That was Professor Nichols. So if you knew Captain Don Gibson, then you would know Jim Nichols. Smart, intelligent, just, had it all captured in his brain, always hard charging on the scene. That was Jim Nichols. So if you knew Don, then you knew a little bit about Jim in there. So that's what got me started. But When I was still at Pantego, Larry Bronner and his wife taught our ECA school over at Everman. So that was my introduction to EMS as well as to Larry Bronner. And then, of course, meeting up with him later. And then, he just provided me a lot of opportunities at the college and then just, helped shape my direction. Leaned on him. Neil Strasser, was captain with him, Station 1 from 91 to 98, and some really outstanding people that we worked with. The kind of people that you don't have to defibrillate them to get them out of the chair, right? In fact, you got to run to catch up with them, and you just love working with people like that. Mark Cole and Kit Woody, Ray Taylor, Jeff Saul, just outstanding people, just great firefighters. And that's what keeps you motivated is, well, what can I do to keep them well fed and trained and give them opportunities, right? How do we keep building this team from that? So
Speaking kind of on that younger generation, we have a lot of younger generation guys coming in with the department growing and everything. What were some of kind of the more lessons that you learned from those newer guys coming in after you had been here 10, 20 years?
It brought me back to, I started in rookie school when I was 17 and just didn't know anything in the world, but just to, what I see in the younger generation, they're a hell of a lot smarter, more educated, and they have the passion for this job. And so it's like, that's what every generation wants, is the next generation to do better. It's like a parent. You want your kids, the next generation that follows, to just do better. Learn history, but only not to repeat it, but to do better, take it right. And I think that's what's impressed me. It's like, oh crap, I'm gonna have to, with all these young people coming in, so smart, so dedicated to the job, and boy, how do we keep up with them, and then how do we keep them fed and nourished and encouraged and moving along. So it's good. As a fixed income citizen of the city of Arlington, Holly and I are very grateful for the current generation
Yes,
of
sir.
AFD.
And you mentioned Chief Bronner starting the officer development program.
He and Lieutenant David McMullen.
What was kind of that like whenever it started?
Well, it started with, I think, Chief Strickland. I think David was at training, and Chief Strickland said, we got to do something about this sort of thing. And typical David, about a week or two, he'd produced, I don't know, probably 1,000 pages of a very comprehensive, everything from, emergency service, tactical development, command, all of that, but all of the personnel policy, everything. It was just, that's what David did. You just give him a little bit and boom, he's off. And so, of course, that was declined because it was way too ambitious, but that's the way David was. You want an officer development program? Here it is. For everything, every rank, all the subject matters, it requires an investment of time and energy. And I don't really know how it got started, but it was David and Larry that kind of put that in the incubator and figured out, well, okay, it's not going to be formal, official, but it will be, I guess, sort of allowed. And so, right, when we see a leadership gap, and David and Larry did, and they started emergency ops.
And then whenever you were a chief, a lot of people said that was one of the things that you were really involved with is teaching that course.
Yeah, Larry, I don't remember how it all came about, but there was a course from the National Fire Academy, Managing Company Tactical Operations, which gives the whole framework. It's a good outline, but it's East Coast for what it is.
Yes,
it's
sir.
National Fire Academy, pretty sanitized, but it's the preparation and the operations part of it in segments. And so we started teaching that. In fact, Larry took us up to Plano. We delivered some classes up there. We delivered it here, the department, kind of as a pilot course. And it wasn't Arlington specific. And then I think Chief Strickland started the vision. It was kind of later in his, kind of in the sunset. And so Chief Strickland put together a group on the vision. And yeah, I still have that. I didn't bring it with me today, but that's where I got connected with Rodney Smith and David Ojeski, Claire Terry from Prevention, and Savette Garrison from Admin. And as Rodney would say, it was the revolution. So the chief opened it up and said, what are some visionary statements? And one of those was, we need to do more to invest in our people.
Mm-hmm.
And so that invest in our people concept from David and Larry's foundation, and then Rodney and OJ and I joined up with Larry and David and brought on Don Hartz, and I know I'm forgetting others. Seemed like there was 7 or 8 of us that started it. Well, we need to make something Arlington specific, but we need to bring in hot topics, people from the region that can speak about case histories that have happened locally, and then bring in some experts on some things. And we had, it was mainly focused on engineers and new lieutenants. We did have 1 captain's academy, but it was as much as Larry championed the cause and he became assistant chief of operations, as much as he championed it and kept us encouraged and scrounged up money and time and scheduling to make it happen, it was never bought in as a complete. So it was always just this, we only hit a small segment of the department. It never became department wide, and that's regretful, because the vision was that policy and training and service delivery and promotions would be this nice continuous process, and it's for every member of the organization, every rank, including prevention and training. Every member of the department should have some part of this available to them for professional development. And so, we did okay in some areas, but it was always, it was just sort of a fitted in somewhere sort of thing. And
So you mentioned it was for like the engineers and lieutenants, the people who were.
Yeah, that's really what emergency ops was. Yeah, that was the focus.
Kind of those.
You wanted to, because there was a great need of, oh crap, I just promoted. What am I going to do? How do you turn this damn MDC on? And things as simple as that. And of course, grew into more of a tactics focused firefighting. It's a little bit of right on the edge of mass casualty, but not a lot. So it was pretty focused. But that was another part of the vision that we couldn't get through. It should be all hazards, and anyway. But
we have quite a few people new to their ranks who maybe have been at the department for a good while, but new in that officer role or new in that driver role. What kind of with the emergency operations in mind, what would be some good advice for them who are new to the decision-making roles?
Get outside of AFD and learn from people in our region, in our state, in our nation. There's brothers and sisters all over the country that will help you. But you need to know hometown USA. This is where we serve. This is where we live. This is our department. This is our culture. But get outside and find how we're all alike. And the difference is really negligible. We're all firefighters. But get out and about and share with others and let others share with you.
Absolutely. And then kind of talking about some other passions of yours, you're also well known in the building construction world. That was one of the topics that you taught our rookie school. Even after you retired, you came back. Why did you have such a passion for building construction, and where did that play a role in your career?
It started with Professor Nichols. Um, yeah, so it, I was a slow learner. It took me 7 years to get my degree from him, my associate's degree. But I wanted to take every fire course with him, and a big part of it was industrial fire protection and building construction. He was good friends with Frank Brannigan. In fact, I think Frank had a daughter that lived for a while in Garland, and so Frank stopped by at the college a few times, and we got to visit with him. So it really started there. And kind of as we all kind of evolve and grow, there are those that are great at equipment and apparatus, right? Don and Brian, that's great, and they're absolutely the best ever. I just evolved to the building construction because it's so much of a foundation of what we do in firefighting. Mm-hmm. It's the container, it's the environment that we operate in, and we need to know it. It's some of that, and it's absolutely predictable what's going to happen, and that's what I would expect from your generation and beyond, is that don't study history just for the love of it, to be a history geek like me, but study it so that you know what the hazards are, what's predictable, and prevent it from happening. Just know what's out there. The threats are out there, so know them, and then you'll do better for the citizens and for each other.
Yes, sir. And kind of along the same lines of building construction is, knowing the building construction in your district and knowing
Mm-hmm.
your district and all that. What would you say is the value of knowing your area and knowing kind of the buildings in your area, or maybe being kind of the subject matter expert of that area? What would you say the value in is?
Oh, it's tremendous. Well, first of all, you get to meet the people and know the people in your district,
Yes,
right?
sir.
And know their life habits and patterns, and how we can best serve them. So the people, and then you look at where they live and work, and that's where they're going to have a problem, and that's where we're going to meet them again. And so that's the foundation of our preparation.
Yes, sir, absolutely. And another one of your things that you kind of were known for is is your communication methods and some of the things that you taught in regards to that. Can you share with us kind of the things that you feel strongly about in regards to communication?
Yeah, I regret that I put too much focus on it. Communication is a lifelong process, and I don't know that I ever got. Well, first of all, it has to be clear in your own mind, right? Communication, right? But to help us all understand that we don't solve problems for our citizens as individuals. So we solve it as a team, and teamwork depends on depends on communication, but it's that communication that supports a shared situation awareness. So if we're all aware of the problems, and then we all know our part in the plan, then we're going to do much better for the citizens, and we're not going to kill ourselves. So that's that part of it. I don't think I ever, and I know when you stand up for something and you put on a target, well, when you promote, you get a target. It's fine. That's part of it. But it's I guess it's ultimately it's watch what you say, but it's more important to be more aware of what people understand, right? Instead of, it's important. As leaders especially, we need to watch what we say, how we say it, when we say it, right? That's important, but the more important part of it is, how's that message received, right? How do people understand it? What causes them to take action from it or not take action from it? That's really the key.
Yes, sir.
And I just wish that the whole communication, the 4 C's from Mark Emery, all it would just fade to the background, because that's really just, the citizens don't give a rip about perfect radio communication. What they care about is effective service. Of course, we know that that effective service is supported by we understand each other. What are the problems, and what are we going to do about it, and how do we coordinate all of this marvelous talent that we have?
Yes, sir.
So, yeah, I don't think that I ever effectively communicated that. I still don't think I'm effectively communicating it, but yeah, it all comes down to what the end result. We're action-oriented people. The end result is the citizens depend on our actions, not on our fancy MDCs or our radios or what we say on the. It's what we do for them. It's not all this other stuff is background stuff. Yes, it supports the effective service, but should not be the focus. It's what we do for the citizens.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Kind of opening up into kind of more of the present day. Our fire chief is retiring, and we're bringing on, open up the process to bring on a new chief.
Mm-hmm.
What would you kind of say is some of the characteristics of a new chief that we should really be looking for? Those who are involved in that process should be looking for.
Well, I think we need somebody that will get to know our community and the needs of our community, and then next to get to know the needs of our department members. What are the issues? What do people need? How can we best support them and all point in the same direction? That get the focus on how can we help the community? Our community is rapidly changing. When I moved here in '68 at essentially Fielder in Colorado, that was the southern edge of the city. And now look at it, that's just about the geographic center of the city. So our city has grown in population, but grown with people all over the world. And so, we got to keep up with what do our community members need, and we need the department, needs somebody with, that kind of focus to know this community and then know the department, and how can we best serve the citizens.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And kind of as the department, as members of the department, whenever we do bring on that new chief, how could we best kind of accept them into our family and give them a good shot?
I've seen several turns of the wheel, some changes in chief executives and interim fire chiefs and in that. So, I just, be cautious about speculation. Some even go as far as fear and worry, and there's unknown. Who is it? What are they going to do? Well, they're coming in for a reason. Wonder what that reason. There's all of that. Just be patient. We're the career employees that long-term servants of the community, see past all of these cycles that you guys will see over the years. See past that. Be patient and wait for things to become real. I mean, I know there's a tendency we want to get ahead of that, and there's some things that we're not aware of, and we should be. But how is government overall going to change in the future as our nation is changing, and all of the technology and the influence of social media. When you talk about communication, I'm not sure it's real effective, but right, we just need to be patient and have the long-term vision, right? It's like what we tell a teenager: think about tomorrow, right? Mm-hmm. Don't let today drive you to make a decision that you're right. It's what we always tell the young people, and then that should be for us. I mean, we're hard chargers, right? We want to get things done. We want to know, right? We want to have that certainty, but we want that certainty in the background because of the work that we do, the service that we provide. But just rest assured that it's just another turn of the wheel and changing of posters and words on those sort of things, and we're here for the long haul for the citizens. That it's really going to be all right. I would say that's one thing you can do is study history and look at the transitions of what was done in the department, and what were the factors that caused some of those changes. I mean, we went from the pioneer fire chief, Chief Martin, to the L.A. Marine, L.A. City discipline big boot right in the and we needed it, no SOPs and two of the youngest firefighters on a tank truck, first hit on every fire, reversing out, the ladder truck parked down the street because you didn't want to get all that beautiful equipment dirty, So we need it. So that's I guess that's another part of seeing the future is figure out what do you need, right? What needs to be changed, and just be patient. It's going to be rough and bumpy as you get acquainted with whoever the new person is. Just be patient.
Yes, sir. And then kind of reflecting on your career as a whole, what were some kind of the best memories you had in your time in the fire department?
It was just the guys at all points, and just seeing, marriages and births and families grow, and more marriages, more births, and death. That's a part of it. It's just all of the life that we see together.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best part of it, is that we've done this together.
Yes, sir. Kind of what a lot of the guys have said about you when I ask them about you is how personal you are, with how when somebody meets you once, whenever you see him again in 5 years, he'll still know your name. And so,
well, I got 2 brain cells left. I try to use it for the good, but that's slipping. But I love the way that God has woven all of our lives together, and it's just amazing how the lives that we have lived together in here. And like I said, we're growing up, the families grow up, the kids are now getting hired, and it's just amazing.
yes, sir. And what would you say, you kind of may go down the same road, but what would you say you miss most about being an Arlequin fireman?
Being at the stations
With the people.
with the people, going out, making the calls, going to train. But I can't let go. I mean, I'm still at the college and still, see several AFD guys and work with several AFD guys over there. I still get invited for cheeseburgers and hot wing Fridays, and just love hearing what's going on. How is everybody? Sort of thing.
I'll tell you.
So I can't let go. I cannot. I'm not one to let go.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you one question that everybody is desiring to know.
What?
Is what type of product you wear in your hair?
That would be 2 things:
Okay.
soap
All right,
and water.
Soap and water.
Soap and water.
It's a soap and water haircut right there.
Yes.
All
So, station 1.
All right.
Okay, station 1.
Yeah. Let's hear it.
Probably right a little before you, I think. Not much.
Okay.
So, Crimmins is the captain. I think Scott Lane is the lieutenant. Greg Higgins, Eric Pierce, engineers. Brand new guys. Jonathan Ingalls, Jackie Parker. There was another one. I was battalion 1. Anyway, so they were the young guys were giving Greg Higgins a hard time about a lot of things, but that was kind of Crimmins. But something about Greg and his hair, and a comb came up, oh, you just old, use a comb. And Jonathan Ingalls especially started in on that. And then I went, Jonathan, are you talking about this? And that was priceless. He's like, oh, crap.
Yeah.
So yeah, just for your information, it's fake. There's nothing real. There's nothing real about it. Yeah, I just go get put on there. Yeah, it's fake. Yeah.
We wanted to know about the comb.
Yeah. Well, see that there you go. See, it all started with Jonathan Ingalls. So.
That's funny.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you still teach in the college, and you're still involved in everything. Why do you still have the passion? You still have the drive to stay involved?
Because I work with great people there. I've been to college since '92. Again, I can't let go. I can't let go of being around the brothers and sisters and what we do. I know that there will be a time when I step away from it. What the hell is that?
It's a sound effect.
Oh, okay.
But don't worry about it.
Okay, I won't. But yeah, I can't let go. I enjoy doing what was done for me, what my mentors did, and that was give me an opportunity. And the team that we have in command and control is pretty outstanding, I think. We have some young and some old. It's a blend of a lot of different departments, a lot of different perspectives. But when we come together, when we wear the red shirt, we say that we can have some disagreements, but when we come together, this is how we promote from a national standard level and a regional level. This is how we agree to do the TCC. We call it the TCC way, and just to be amongst a group like that. We don't do the hard work like some people do over there that teach state certifications, because we don't like to be held down to any kind of standard.
Yes, sir.
But we like the fact that we can keep it fresh and new and relevant and current. We just had a brother lost in Buffalo in a Type 3 ordinary right on the downtown square, and so we got video and the audio from it. It's out there, and so we were in Cedar Hill with those 4 departments together, and of course Lancaster Town Square has those Type 3 ordinary constructed buildings. So you preload them with the Buffalo line of duty death and show what can happen, and then we have a scenario there in Lancaster Town Square okay, how will we handle this?
Yes, sir.
But it's things like that. The names are only changing. That's I guess the shameful part, and I guess the expectation for y'all's generation is please break the cycle of being so predictable at how we kill ourselves. But I trust that you guys will make a difference that my generation didn't. Just like officer development never really became what it could have. I mean, I think we helped a couple of people together, but certainly our group learned more from the folks that sat in the class. But just keep pushing it forward, keep helping each other, and keep growing, learning.
Yes, sir. And looking back, if you could talk to yourself in 1980, whenever you hired us, what advice would you give yourself for back then?
Take more pictures, write more things down, remember names, because it just to reflect back on about what an amazing group of people that you'll come across. So I have a few pictures that I'm not going to show, but as Holly said today, oh my gosh, look how young you were. Yep. But yeah, it's what a wonderful, wonderful time. And I still feel connected, still feel part of the family. So can't let go.
Yes, sir. Well, is there anything else that you'd like to share, or any other stories, or any?
No. Thank you though.
Yeah.
This is a little awkward and embarrassing because it shouldn't be about me. We don't do anything by ourselves in this job. It's about the teamwork that we have. Yeah, thanks for letting me ramble. Please learn history, but only put it to the good of doing better than the old generation did.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Well, thank you very much for your time.
You bet.